Some animals escape predators, some escape freezing. But one tiny jellyfish may escape something much stranger, aging itself. Turritopsis dohrnii is called the immortal jellyfish because, under certain stress, its adult body can stop moving toward the usual ending and begin again. That contrast is the hook. The smallest body in the frame carries the biggest biological question. The animal itself is almost unbelievably small. In its adult medusa stage, it is only a few millimeters wide, transparent, fragile, and easy to miss. That contrast matters. One of nature's strangest aging stories belongs not to a giant creature, but to a tiny drifting hydrozoan. Its scale also helps the pacing. The viewer should feel they are looking at a secret, not a monster. The word immortal can mislead people. It does not mean the jellyfish is impossible to kill. It means the species may avoid ordinary biological aging by reversing part of its life cycle. This is biological immortality, not invincibility, and the difference is essential. So the scene stays mysterious, but the claim stays precise and honest. To understand the trick, start with the normal life cycle. A settled polyp can produce small free-swimming medusae, the jellyfish form most people recognize. In most animals, development moves forward like an arrow. Early stage, adult stage, old age, and death. This setup makes the reversal clear, because the audience first understands the normal direction. Turritopsis dohrnii can bend that arrow. When the adult medusa is stressed by hunger, damage, or sudden environmental change, it may begin to regress. The body does not simply heal a wound. It reorganizes away from the adult stage. The important visual idea is transformation, not violence or shock. That regression leads toward a cyst-like stage with stolen growth, which can then give rise to a new polyp colony. The simple version is easy to remember. Polyp becomes jellyfish, and the jellyfish can return toward polyp again. This is the moment where the life cycle becomes a loop instead of a line. This is why people describe the immortal jellyfish as going back in time. It is not literal time travel, and it is not magic. It is a biological reset built into a life cycle where the adult stage is not always the final destination. The phrase "back in time" works only as a metaphor for this reset. At the cell level, the story becomes even more interesting. Some cells appear able to change roles as the body reorganizes. That kind of flexibility is why the species attracts attention from researchers studying regeneration, development, and aging. That makes the animal useful for science without turning it into a miracle cure. But the ocean is not a safe laboratory. A tiny medusa can be eaten before any reset begins. It can be damaged beyond recovery, swept into bad conditions, or fail to find enough food. A rare escape route does not protect it from every danger. The viewer should understand that the jellyfish is impressive and vulnerable at the same time. Predators are only one problem. Ocean currents can carry this animal into water that is too warm, too cold, too polluted, or too unstable. Biological immortality does not create a shield. The environment still decides whether the animal gets the chance to reset. The ocean remains larger than the trick, and that keeps the story grounded. The earlier stages are not perfectly safe either. A polyp colony can be grazed, infected, outcompeted, or lost through ordinary chance. That is why the immortal jellyfish does not live forever in the wild. Its ability is remarkable, but survival is still uncertain. This keeps the myth under control while still preserving the wonder. Scientists are interested because this animal turns a huge question into something visible. How fixed is aging? How flexible can cell identity become? How does a body return to an earlier developmental state without becoming chaos? The questions are big because the animal shows them in a visible, repeatable life cycle pattern. The answer is not a simple recipe for human immortality. A jellyfish body is far simpler than a human body, and its reset depends on a very different life cycle. Still, the principles behind repair, development, and cell identity are worth studying. The responsible message is curiosity, not a promise that humans can borrow immortality. Nature often solves survival problems in unexpected ways. Some animals survive through armor, speed, camouflage, or cold resistance. This jellyfish survives partly by making adulthood reversible. It is not stronger than the ocean, it has simply found a strange biological option. This comparison keeps the episode about survival strategies rather than simple spectacle. That makes the immortal jellyfish feel mysterious without needing exaggeration. The true story is already strange enough. A fragile animal, almost invisible in the sea, carrying a life cycle that can loop backward when the usual path becomes dangerous. The mystery comes from the real biology, so the narration does not need fake drama. The most important lesson is the difference between escaping aging and escaping death. Turritopsis dohrnii may avoid the ordinary aging of the adult medusa, but it can still be eaten, infected, starved, or destroyed by conditions around it. This is the cleanest correction of the title. Immortal is not the same as unkillable. In that difference, the animal becomes more interesting, not less. It is not a mythic creature that defeats everything. It is a real organism with one extraordinary pathway, surrounded by the same risks that shape every small life in the ocean. That realism makes the animal feel more believable and more beautiful. For science, the immortal jellyfish is a reminder that aging is not one simple process. Development, damage, repair, and identity all interact. A tiny marine animal cannot answer every question, but it can show that life has more pathways than we expected. The species becomes a doorway into aging, not the final answer to aging. For nature, it is a hidden experiment. The ocean keeps testing forms of survival that would sound impossible if no one had observed them. In Turritopsis dohrnii, the experiment is a body that can turn the adult stage into a doorway. The ocean's experiment is quiet, but its meaning is enormous. So the immortal jellyfish is not an animal that cannot die, it is something subtler, a tiny creature that can sometimes restart its own story. Aging for this species is not only an ending. Under the right conditions, it can become a beginning. And on that balance, not invincible, not magical, but genuinely extraordinary.